I'm Wes Allen with DM Tales, and year 2 of Ecclesicon has wrapped up, and I've got some thoughts. Let's roll it. In its first year, Ecclesicon had 88 total attendees, which included GMs and volunteers. And that was not bad for a first-year boutique convention, and it grew out of the one-shot days that I had run prior to the actual 3-day convention. And this year, things expanded. So not only did we exceed our previous attendance with 105 people coming to Ecclesicon 2025, we also expanded our offerings. First, we had 4 vendors out on Friday and Saturday with some really cool products. So I give my thanks to Amber Keep Art, J.M. DeSantis, Stardust Shire, and Pine Box Entertainment for coming out and giving folks some cool things to peruse. My son got a tail at the convention, literally a tail, and he was really happy. Second, this year we added some sponsorship offerings, both via cash and donated items to use at the convention. Talk about how in a minute. Both the sponsorship types were a huge help to the convention. It gave us the money to go out and pre-order t-shirts, to get an interview backdrop, which I need to use more, to cover the printing cost for our advertisements and our convention booklets, and it allowed us to purchase other convention supplies. So it all was really helpful. Our costs are minimal compared to most conventions, particularly because we don't need to rent the space. So the remaining funds from the financial sponsors went to our 2 beneficiaries, and that was really cool. Third, I had so many games submitted for Ecclesicon 2025 that we opened up a second room upstairs, bringing our total potential available games to 10 at any given time. We also added a paint and take mini station, thank you to Jim for setting that up, which was also in the second room, and a number of folks there enjoyed it, including my son, who painted his first mini. We wound up, all told, with 33 games running over the course of the convention, and then 3 additional games were canceled due to a lack of players, which does bum me out, but the GMs were more than gracious about the whole thing. Fourth, Ron from the Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo ran an auction Saturday evening. This is where all the product donations given by the sponsors ended up, though we also had many folks donating something to the cause, so it wasn't just what the sponsors had donated. The auction went fast, and there was some really cool stuff, like a signed copy of Shadow Dark and a copy of Toxic Lords of the Neon Wasteland that had a cool piece of artwork that was put into it by one of the artists. Really awesome. And the auction itself brought in over $1,500. So thank you, Ron, for running it. That was great. Overall, Ecclesicon is a blast. Having said that, I do have to point out that the weeks leading up to the event are torture personally for me, waiting for folks to get their badges and then to sign up for games. And I did spend a couple of weeks wondering why I do this to myself, because it's a very stressful process, only to beam with joy when the convention gets underway. It really is worth it. I need to remind myself that as I prepare for next year. Now, all the games seemed to go rather well. We had tables with all sorts of setups. Some were theater of the mind. Some got laid out with abstract images for people to gain a visual reference. And some folks brought terrain to set up or had maps that were printed out they could use. But the wildest game setup that I have ever seen was done by Pat Coyle, who ran the old TSR Marvel Superheroes RPG. Pat set up a city in which the heroes could battle. I mean, a city, like a whole block. It was really cool. And folks raved about it. And the best part is that Pat's actually planning on running that adventure at Page, the Philly Area Gaming Expo, next year in January. And from what I understand, he's actually going to expand it some. So that is way cool. Our special guests this year were amazing. And I've already mentioned Ron, who also sponsored a pizza party for dinner on Saturday evening. So folks didn't even have to buy dinner that day. But he was not alone. Ed Stark, who broke into the industry with West End Games, working on Star Wars back in the day, was great to have. He ran a table about serving Orcus, chatted with folks, and helped the auction event, even though he was asleep on his feet. So Ed, thank you so much. I know you were exhausted from going to GaryCon the week before. Thanks for making time for us. Dave Ward from Grimwood Games was down again. He ran his adventures for both Ironbound and Plaguebound, as well as our friends from Avenue Studios. And another returning guest from last year, but now this year as a sponsor, was John Fredericks from Sharp Mountain Games. Dave Simpson from Gamers on Games was also down again this year, and he actually got to play in some games this year, so that was cool, and that made me most happy. And, truth be told, even if Ecclesicon itself collapsed, I'd still want to put on a weekend retreat just to have all those folks come down so that we could play in person together as a crew, because they're what conventions are all about. It's about going and meeting your friends that you only meet one or two, or, if you're lucky, 3 times a year, and hanging out with them and playing games and learning new systems that someone might bring to play. That's the coolest part about it. And that's one of the reasons why I love running Ecclesicon. Now, they were all joined this year by convention sponsor, The Great Mustache, who is a friend of the folks from Avenue Studios. His real name, JP. He runs Open Legend RPG. Now, JP was there demoing his D6 beta version of Open Legend, and his adventure was actually my 6-year-old son's favorite. I asked him several times, what was your favorite game? And every time he said, the cat sitting one. That was Open Legend D6 beta. So well done, Stash. Way to go. Avenue Studios ran their Pathfinder 2e funnel Saturday night, 2nd year in a row. And this year it was complete with 3D terrain printed by the Great Mustache himself. And I do think this event needs to be annual because folks loved it. We also had Preston from the Nintendads there chatting with folks. He is one of the kindest and most fun people you will ever meet. And then next to Preston's table was Book Smiles. That was one of Ecclesicon 2025's beneficiaries. Book Smiles was represented by Aiden, who handed out information and played at a few tables. He was playing awesome. Todd from Hexpressed came down on Saturday and Sunday, and he actually live streamed on Sunday afternoon. It was this quieter event that day, but he actually sat down and did some live stream for us. It was really amazing. Now, Todd and I had been in text conversations on Discord in the past. We have watched each other's channels. That was the first time that we'd met in person. And I can tell you that Todd is a kind soul, was a great player to have at my Into the Odd table. Really a blast to meet him. And then we had the geek preacher himself, Derek White, who served as our official convention chaplain. I got to pick Derek up from the airport, and he hung out at my place before the convention to open up on Sunday afternoon. This is someone I am happy to have as a new friend. He was a wonderful addition to the convention, and he even got to run his game Dark Space on Sunday afternoon. One thing we did lack this year is that we didn't have any sorts of presentations or panel discussions, and that's something that I'm hoping we'll be able to bring back in for Ecclesicon 2026. From a purely personal standpoint, I am pleased with the range of games that were offered and that enough of them were all ages so that my 6-year-old could attend the convention as a player. He didn't just have to pop in for one day and then pop out again. He played 3 games at Ecclesicon, that Open Legend D6 beta where he was cat-sitting, Heroes of Cerealia where he got to go through a forest tomb, and then Clayarama, which was run by Ron from Page. And it was fun for me to see him play with GMs who are not me, because I think he felt more free to jump in and just go wild. He didn't have to worry about what Dad was going to do. And I'm really happy he got to have this experience. He is a convention goer now, so I might actually have to do a day trip up to Mepicon this fall and bring him along. I am also really pleased with the vendors. They all concurred that the crowd was kind and had no drama. That is about as kind a compliment as I can get as a convention organizer. So thank you, everyone. The experience was just a blast. Ecclesicon 2025 had 2 beneficiaries. The first, which was receiving 25% of the proceeds, was Central Baptist Roof Replacement Loan. You might ask, well, why are we doing that? Well, that's the church I pastor, and that's where the convention's held. It's basically the rental fee. The second, which was receiving 75% of the proceeds, was the aforementioned Book Smiles. Book Smiles is a literacy organization in South Jersey which has one mission. It is to get books into the hands of children so they might develop a love of reading. That is a mission I can get behind, and I'm really glad that we could raise some money for them. We still have some t-shirts people want to purchase, but our convention total right now is $5,245. That comes out to $1,311.25 for the church roof and $3,933.75 for Book Smiles. I am thrilled with this tally, and I thank you so much to everyone who helped make Ecclesicon a reality so we could do this little bit of good with our hobby. Will there be an Ecclesicon 2026? Well, if we're still here, yes, there will be. Ecclesicon 2026 is going to take place May 1st and 2nd in Palmyra, New Jersey, same location, Central Baptist Church, and we will probably stay in that first weekend of May for the foreseeable future. It helps dodge a whole bunch of local conventions and national ones like GaryCon. You may have noticed, though, that the convention has been reduced to 2 days from 3 days. The Sunday afternoon session was really not a hit the last 2 years. It's just difficult to get folks to come back out in the afternoon for a single session of gaming. They want more going on, and everything was really kind of winding down. So instead, what we decided to do was to extend Friday of Ecclesicon to a full day. So even though the convention is over one less calendar day, it actually gains time for more events. And we're rather excited about this, to be honest. We are also going to go with more of a staff concept this year moving forward, because even at 100 attendees, it is more work than I can handle. And I already handed over some areas of the convention to other folks. So I have to say thank you to Jim for doing the Paint and Take mini station, and thank you to my wife and for Linda for taking over the snack bar. That would have driven me out of my mind. And I am also thankful for several folks who have asked to be part of next year's convention planning. That's going to be great. As the team gets formed and folks get their different areas of responsibility, we will be introducing you to the folks who make Ecclesicon go. Awesome. With our current setup, we think we actually can handle about 115 attendees. And that keeps Ecclesicon well in that boutique range, right? Now, we do have another room that we can open up if there is a need, but right now 150 is our stretch goal for next year's attendance. And because we're starting so early and we've gotten into a sweet spot, which is dodging other conventions, I think we can actually make it. So keep that in your calendar, May 1st and 2nd, 2026, and let's roll some dice and do some good. Okay, so coming up, Monty Python, next review that I am doing. After that, I've got to get into Tales of Argosa because that book is gorgeous. The game was so much fun to watch being played at Ecclesicon this year, and folks just loved it. So I really want to get into that and review that. I have Dreams and Machines I have to read. I have Never Going Home I have to read. I need to video my Dragonbane Path of Glory review. The written one is up on the dmtales.com website right now if you want to do that. That's actually going to be my next one that goes up on the channel. And then I've got a whole bunch of other things that are just in the fire, and I am looking forward to getting all of them to you. So until we see each other again, folks, happy playing, everyone.